Family and fellow soldiers, I'm the professor, and this is the moment of truth. I know there's some folks who don't listen so well, so I have to do the usual advisory that this is not about supporting anyone. Black celebrities are of no real concern to me, but that doesn't change the fact that the white media uses black celebrities as proxies for the black community. They find some black person who they can accuse of some terrible thing, whether they did it or not is irrelevant, just make the accusations. And then they connect that black person's alleged act to the black community as a whole and say, this is what the black community is about. This is a black problem. The white media using rappers as their whipping boy and claiming that these rappers are anti-Semites, this is not new at all. You can go back at least 30 years to Sister Souljah, exactly 30 years ago, where you had the Washington Post claiming that some of the most famous rappers won their audience with a combination of repellent obscenity, a whiff of anti-Semitism, and of course a constant riff against whites. This was written in the Washington Post 30 years ago, not last week. So the white media fraudulent narrative that rappers are just so racist, they're spewing hatred and racism, this is a very, very old, phony narrative. It's a golden oldie that they never get tired of. They just dust it off from time to time and present it to the public and try to pretend as if, hey, look, we just noticed something about these rappers over here. And they get away with it, too. That is, if you didn't have a black media to tell you about it. Kanye West is getting dragged. But the main thing, of course, is to put the headlines out there. You want to make it where there's a black face with the word anti-Semitism over it. And while I'm not going to go so far as to say that there's some sort of explicit connection, I also understand that nothing happens in a vacuum under white supremacy. Black people are making a demand for reparations, and our demands are rooted in morality. So I consider it to be rather the coincidence that we suddenly see this effort to portray black people as being bigoted, that there's bigotry in the black culture. They can't point to any actions that have been done because of this black anti-Semitism. They can't show where black people are harming anyone or even talking crossways to someone, but take their word for it, it's totally happening. There's this epidemic of black anti-Semitism and it's just sweeping the world. All they've got is a couple of rantings from Kanye West and apparently a dubious Amazon link from a basketball player, and apparently that means people are getting hurt all over the world. Now, whether you like Kanye West or not is irrelevant. I've made my thoughts about him well known, so I'm not going to recite my litany of denigrations and attacks on him. As for Kyrie Irving, I don't follow sports. Up until last week, I didn't even know who this guy was, and now that I know, I still don't care. If it was up to me, I wouldn't say anything about it at all, but the problem is this orgy of black male bashing in the name of fighting anti-Semitism is not based on how aware Professor Black Truth is of a basketball player or a bipolar rapper. What's going on is based on reaching the rest of the society with this narrative, and the rest of the society are very well aware of these men. Now, the white media may be making Kanye and Kyrie the object of their hit pieces and all of this derisive scorn, but that's not who the target actually is. How can I say that? Because the white media said so. In last night's Sunday address, I rhetorically asked if anybody knew where Goldie Taylor was at these days. Well, speak of the devil, she reared her ugly head again, and nothing's changed. She's still making a fool of herself. She wrote a hit piece pretending to be an op-ed for Rolling Stone. Now, the original title of the hit piece was Black Anti-Semitism Isn't Rare, It's Ingrained. She wrote this less than 24 hours ago as of this morning. This is what she entitled it. And then underneath that title, she had the subtitle, What Makes Kanye West and Kyrie Irving So Dangerous and Malignant is that there are thousands of young black boys who see them, see their success and wealth, and believe them. Now, it seems that even Goldie Taylor or someone at Rolling Stone realized that they had gone way too far with that title, so an hour later they changed that headline to Kanye, Kyrie, and Me. Got a screenshot up for you showing you the before and after. They did this in an hour. That's how much of a change they had to make that quickly. The exact same article, just a different headline, so already Goldie Taylor had to be walking this one back and it wasn't even an hour old. But you see that someone really wanted this out there, though. And if this was how duplicitous they were with the title, you can imagine how deceitful the rest of the article was. Their original piece had a title declaring that anti-Semitism isn't rare in the black community. That's a flat-out declaration with absolutely no proof, and they knew it. So less than an hour later, they had to change the title to something they could actually defend, though barely, because Goldie Taylor has nothing in common with Kyrie or Kanye. She covets their money and fame, though. Her jealousy and envy is excruciatingly obvious. They have things that she desperately wants but will never have. And some of the less informed among you may think that I and others are just overly harsh when we talk about people like Goldie Taylor as hating black men, but here she goes overboard to prove that what we've been saying all along is true. She doesn't even pretend to have anything other than scorn for black men. I mean, she just goes crazy with it. To take an article talking about anti-Semitism, to link it to the black community in general and to young black boys in specific. This isn't journalism. This is just pushing an anti-black narrative. Clearly there's a program at work, and Goldie Taylor has volunteered to be its stalking horse. When Rolling Stone gets called out on this, what they're going to do is they're going to hide behind her and say, well, blame her, she's the one who wrote it, even though they paid her to do it. In this hit piece, Goldie Taylor tries to present one of her own family members as being an analog for the proverbial racist white uncle. She starts off this diatribe by saying this oldest cousin of hers was a robber who got shot during one of his attempted thefts. She also says that he was a drug addict, a career convict, and had 11 or 12 children. So she entitles her hit piece, Anti-Semitism Isn't Rare in the Black Community. She underscores that by saying young black boys are the danger here. And then she begins her hit piece by cramming every stereotype about black men that she can into the very first paragraph. Goldie Taylor took every pejorative that she could think of, every anti-black trope, hung them on a name, and then said that this drug-taking, woman-disrespecting, having children out of wedlock, thieving cousin of hers said all sorts of unkind things regarding Jewish people. So basically, she takes this stereotypical black character, complete with her own depiction of a black scent. We's the tribe of Israel. She actually wrote that. And this is what she puts into an article as a certification, I guess to make it seem as if she's not so bad. Oh, this is just a cousin of mine, but look at how much disdain that I've got for this guy. But it's not the disdain for this alleged cousin of hers that comes through. It is her clearly overwhelming hatred of black men that comes through loudly and clearly. And Rolling Stone published this and thought that it was acceptable, except for the original title, which even they figured out was a ridiculous lie. So Goldie Taylor came straight up the middle and said the danger is young black boys. Goldie Taylor has a black son, by the way, and she's telling the world that he's a threat. Obviously, she wants back on cable so bad she'll do anything. And she says thousands of young black boys believe them. Really? What kind of research did she do before she wrote that garbage? Exactly how many of those young black boys did she talk to before she made that asinine statement? Did she conduct a poll? Did she do any research? What evidence does she present that a basketball player who apparently posted an erroneous Amazon link is making young black boys anti-Semitic? What proof does she provide that this basketball player is an anti-Semite himself? What did Kyrie Irving say that young black boys believe? Did he say that he hated Jewish people? Did he say that Jewish people have done all sorts of terrible things against black people? What did Kyrie Irving do or say that thousands of young black boys believe? What statement did he make that they believe? What action did he take that they believe? I read her hit piece so you don't have to, and judging by what Goldie Taylor presented, nothing. He didn't do anything. But keep in mind the point that she's making. Kanye isn't the danger here. Kyrie Irving isn't the danger here. The danger is young black boys. That's what makes this dangerous. She singles out young black boys in particular. So apparently we don't have to be worried about any white supremacist young males up and coming. It's the black ones who, by the way, have no track record of anti-Semitism. They're the ones we need to worry about. Now, if I had told you that Megyn Kelly or Michelle Malkin had written that, you would have said, well, of course they did. But this was Goldie Taylor, a woman who, more often than not, identifies as black. Why do I say that? Well, I got something to tell you about her that'll come up in a minute. But for her to have the nerve to claim that black anti-Semitism isn't rare, well, I would like for the white media manipulators over at Rolling Stone or their sock puppet Goldie Taylor to tell me, did a black man attack a Jewish community center in 1999 where 250 Jewish kids were playing outside? Did a black man attack the Holocaust Museum in 2009? No, it was a white supremacist who did that. And a black guard lost his life trying to protect the Jewish visitors to that Holocaust Museum. And of course, in 2018, you had the Tree of Life mass killing. 11 Jews were killed. Was it a black man who did that? Was it a black boy who did that? Did somebody listen to too much Kanye West? Oh, I'm sorry, he wasn't a quote-unquote anti-Semite at that time. Maybe they watched too many games by Kyrie Irving. Maybe that's what it was. If black anti-Semitism is truly so common, please tell me, was it black boys who were in the streets of Charlottesville chanting, "Jews will not replace us"? Is that what was going on in 2017? Had a bunch of black boys going on Nazi rally marches against the Jewish community? If all of this black anti-Semitism is truly so common like Goldie Taylor would want us to believe, where is all the rampant anti-Semitism by black people in Atlanta? Where's all the rampant black anti-Semitism in Detroit, or D.C., or Philadelphia, or Memphis, or New Orleans, or Birmingham? You got all of these major majority black cities, and you don't see any of the black folks targeting Jewish synagogues or schools or homes. You don't see black people doing any of that stuff. So why is Goldie Taylor on such a tear against black men anyway? I'm sure she hated black men long before now, but one of the reasons is closely tied to the fact that she's not on cable anymore. For Goldie Taylor, those two things are linked, and it's personal for her. Goldie Taylor personally blamed Don Lemonade for her having been bounced from CNN back in the day. She blamed her fall from cable grace on Don Lemon, saying that it was all his fault. She's apparently not so mad at the white network executives like, say, Jeff Zucker and others who told her to hit the bricks. She focuses her rage on a black man, and her idea of getting even was to wait until now to tell the world that young black boys are a danger. So for those slow wits out there who think that I and others in the black media are just downing black women when we call out Tiffany Cross-Eyes and Goldie Taylors, you can have a seat now. You might as well have a seat because you'll never have a clue. And what makes Goldie Taylor's demonization of black boys really so damnable is that Goldie Taylor has a son, and he was arrested and threatened by the police, and Goldie Taylor had no problem making hay out of that years ago because there were massive anti-black racism protests nationwide, and she figured that she could profit from it. But today, Goldie Taylor's saying that young black boys are a danger because of a rapper who everyone thinks is half crazy, and a basketball player who apparently posted an Amazon link. How is it that what constitutes anti-Semitism has gone from gun-toting white supremacists who shoot up museums, community centers, and even synagogues, to a big-mouth rapper who nobody in their right mind takes seriously, and a basketball player's Amazon account that nobody even knew about until the white media decided to bring it up? And of course, there's the to-be-expected inveighing of Louis Farrakhan from Goldie Taylor. That train is never late. Because apparently Louis Farrakhan controls black people, I mean young black boys' minds like puppets on strings. And what is Farrakhan doing with this massive army of young black boys that he's got under his control? Apparently nowhere near as much as all of these white supremacist males who Goldie Taylor isn't worried about. And it seems that every black man, at least every young black boy, is a mindless zombie who follows an anti-Semite like a robot. And where's all of the anti-Jewish violence that these young black boys are carrying out? Nowhere. But you better be afraid. They're dangerous. Goldie Taylor says so. Watch those young black boys. They're dangerous. In her hit piece, Goldie Taylor goes on to explain that she's actually got Jewish ancestry herself. To be fair, that was one that I didn't know and didn't care about because I'm not concerned about people's religion, and Goldie Taylor simply isn't interesting enough for me to try to figure out who's in her family tree. But this hit piece that she wrote is an audition piece for a white media job. She thinks that this is going to get her foot in the door somewhere. She's found some sort of anti-black bandwagon that the white media is jumping all over, and she figures she might as well jump out in front of that parade and pretend to be the band major, and that's what she's doing. She's pushing buttons in the hopes that someone will notice her. Say, does anyone remember whatever became of that documentary that she raised money for back in the day? What was the name of it? The Other Side of Grace? Did she ever finish it? What Goldie Taylor's saying is not just the usual pack of lies. These are the kind of lies that this society uses to justify mistreating and even killing black people. especially black men. But Goldie Taylor made sure to put a bullseye on black men's backs and bring out every stereotypical trope that she could to justify it. I mean, she just went over the top with it. Well, if she thinks that this is going to get her a cable show, she's wrong. If she thinks being the front woman who will help sanitize anti-black racism is going to get her out of the media ghetto that they threw her in, it won't. She's playing the part of the useful idiot. The problem with that is, you can make yourself as useful as you want to white power. You still won't get a dime for it. But I'm sure she'll just blame Kanye, Kyrie, and young black boys for that too. Good day, and be one. I'd like to take a moment to mention some of our contributors. Frederica Moore, Suleiman Alaji, Tyrone Leak, Brenda McPherson, and Larry Beard. Salute to them and thank you to everyone for listening, liking, and sharing this message. Black empowerment only exists because of you.